A tour of Northeast India's unique gastronomies can never truly be called complete if we conclude it without savoring the myriad distillery strokes of rice beer across the region. Excepting a few communities, this homebrew is an everyday household staple, known by different names and offering distinct, localized tastes. Rice beer is an omnipresent presence that defines almost every occasion here. Some people, I'm afraid, will furrow their brows if I assert that rice beer is the original beverage of this land, and an integral part of nearly all northeastern festivities. They will undoubtedly disagree, for plains-living communities like the Midas and the Assamese do not typically brew or consume this drink today, and they can hardly imagine such a beverage playing any role in their sacred festivities. However, deeper inquiry suggests it is very much possible that rice beer was an intimate part of everyday life, as well as religious festivities, among the Assamese, the Meiteis, or other plains-dwelling groups of the region in the not-too-distant past. One curious piece of folklore can be presented here to substantiate this view. The Bishnupriya Manipuris can authentically be called one of the most refined races of the region. As far as the orthodox Hindu way of life is concerned, their life and society have been meticulously rearranged with the most puritanical tenets of the Vaishnavite faith. Looking at them today, one can hardly imagine this ethnic group ever passing through a historical stage where they practiced ancient rituals involving the consumption of liquor or meat. Yet, their own oral traditions contain facts that give them away. The rain-invoking songs of the Bishnupriya Manipuris, believed to be around 500 years old, preserve the tragic tale of Medoi, a mortal princess who was married off to Sorarel. Mispronunciation of Shurendra, meaning the Vedic god Indra, the king of the gods. One day, Medoi spotted huge volumes of smoke billowing up from the earth, forming a dark cloud that blocked the view of her father's village. There certainly was a massive fire, but she could not discern from her celestial vantage point what the flames were consuming. Fearing her father's house was on fire, she pleaded with Sorarel to let her visit her earthly home. Sorarel was highly reluctant to let her go, for he knew the ways of the earth, and he feared Medoi would indulge in rice beer and meat there. But Medoi kept pestering him, vowing solemnly that she would not touch a single drop of wine or a morsel of meat. At last, Sorarel relented. He lowered a ladder to the earth, but forbade her from taking their child, Karafaba, to the mortal realm, fearing the family would feed the young boy forbidden things. Upon reaching her father's house, Medoi was insistently implored by her kinsmen to partake of the feast of liquor and meat. Having been away from the earth for so long, Medoi secretly craved these familiar tastes. Yet she feared Sorarel's omniscient gaze. She initially refused, explaining the strict promise she had made to her husband. But her people, sensing her deep desire, devised a clever ruse. They hung 7 layers of mosquito nets over her as she sat to drink, believing it would shroud her actions from the heavens. Medoi willy-nilly agreed. But the moment she took her first sip of the rice beer, Sorarel, all-knowing as he was, saw straight through the nets. In a fit of divine wrath, he instantly reeled up the ladder, forever severing Medoi's access to heaven. The heart-rending cry of a mother suddenly separated from her child rent the air. But her tears could not undo the sentence. This ancient tale amply substantiates the fact that the consumption of rice beer was once an inseparable part of life, even among the Bishnupriya Manipuris. At the very least, it proves that a constituent of the groups forming this community was once in the habit of consuming rice beer ritually. Today, these people are so strict that they do not allow onions or garlic into their kitchens, and even lentils are barred from their community feasts. Anyone who understands how deeply puritanical the Bishnupriya Manipuras are as Hindus can easily surmise from this legend just how ubiquitous rice beer must have been across this entire region in the centuries gone by. Barring some plains-dwelling communities, Northeast still holds the memory of the forests, the wisdom of grandmothers, and the heartbeat of the community through homebrews. They have distinct crafts of fermenting and distilling homebrews to welcome guests, honor ancestors, celebrate festivals, and mark every important moment in life, from birth to death. Simple, earthy, and full of flavor, they are liquid threads that bind people to nature and to each other. Among the Angami and Chakasang Nagas of Nagaland's cool, rugged hills, Zutho is more than a drink. It is the taste of highland resilience. Naga women, the keepers of this tradition, step into the forest to gather wild herbs, roots, and barks. They blend these with soaked rice, shape the mixture into small starter cakes, called piazu, and let them mature gently on beds of straw. In the kitchen, sticky rice is cooked, sometimes left raw, sometimes lightly sprouted, or touched by fire for a smoky note. Once cooled, it is mixed with crushed piazu and placed inside blackened earthen pots or hollowed wooden barrels. After several days of quiet fermentation, Zutho is ready. It is served unstrained, thick, milky, and frothy, with a pleasant sourness and nutritious yeast floating inside. The flavor feels like the hills themselves, earthy, smoky, and deeply refreshing. During the important Sikrini festival, the very first drops are poured for the hearth spirits before anyone can begin the harvest. Without this offering, the community believes the land's blessings will not come. The Dimasa Kachari people of Assam take great pride in Judima, their beautiful golden brew, that has even received a geographical indication tag. The process begins with special sticky rice called bearing, which is carefully cooked and spread out on bamboo mats to cool. Dimasa women then add humau, their treasured starter cake made from hand-picked wild forest plants. A secret touch of thimbra bark, acacia pinnata, gives the drink its warm amber color and gentle honey-like sweetness that softens the alcohol's bite. The mixture rests in sealed earthen jars called dithang for a week or 10 days. When it emerges, Judima is clear, elegant, and aromatic. This brew flows through every chapter of Dimasa life. It is gently touched to a newborn's lips, shared joyfully during the Grand Bushu festival, and offered as libations to ancestors when a soul departs. In every cup of Judima, one tastes both celebration and remembrance. In the green hills of Tripura, the Tripuri people prepare Chuwak, a stronger spirit born from patient fermentation and skillful distillation. Rice is first fermented using chuan, a powerful starter cake made with more than 20 different medicinal plants, collected from the surrounding forests. The fermented mash is then carefully distilled in a traditional two-pot system, turning steam into a clear, high-strength arrack known locally as Chuwak choba. This process shows generations of hands-on knowledge about fire, vapor, and timing. Chuwak brings physical warmth on cool evenings and spiritual strength during rituals. It is shared among friends and family to strengthen bonds and honor the land that provides everything. Most festivals and religious occasions simply cannot be completed without Chuwak playing its somber role. In the rolling, mist-covered hills of Meghalaya, the Khasi and Jaintia people brew Kyat, a drink that feels like a warm hug against the mountain chill. Women of the family guard the recipe for Kyat, their special starter cake. They walk into the nearby forests to gather wild medicinal plants and roots, then carefully dry them under the sun, pound them into powder, and knead the mixture with rice flour. These cakes are left to mature slowly on beds of straw, quietly collecting wild yeasts and flavors from the air. Sticky or red rice is boiled until soft, cooled, and gently mixed with crushed Kyat. The mash is placed in large earthen pots, covered, and allowed to ferment naturally. In a few days, Kyat is ready, tangy, sharp, and slightly sour. Families often warm it gently before serving, letting its lively taste cut through the cold and bring people closer. Kyat is shared during festivals and household gatherings. It is also offered at naming ceremonies, welcoming new babies, and honoring ancestors, quietly reminding everyone of their bond with the land. Before we continue, if you value deep, well-researched stories from the Living Ethnic Museum of Northeast India, please subscribe for more treasures like this, defining the mind, heart, and soul of this livewire culturescape. Your encouragement helps us dive deeper. Thank you. Returning to the topic. Further north in the lush, biodiverse valleys and hills of Arunachal Pradesh, tribes such as the Apatani and Adi prepare Apong, also known as Opo. This brew comes in beautiful variations: gentle white Ipo and deep, striking dark Nagan. For the beloved Nagan, women first roast paddy husks and rice stalks over an open fire until they turn into fine black ash. This ash is then mixed into boiled rice, along with the traditional starter cake pea. The charcoal works like a natural purifier, soaking up impurities, while giving the drink a rich, smoky, earthy taste and a beautiful obsidian gray color. The mixture is left to ferment peacefully inside earthen vessels. The result is a frothy, nourishing drink that tastes of the forest and the hearth. Apong is everyday comfort as well as festive joy. During major celebrations like the Salung and Neokum festivals, Mibu priests, traditional spiritual leaders, pour it as libations onto the earth. These offerings honor forest deities and seek blessings for healthy livestock and bountiful harvests. In the green ridges of Mizoram, the Mizo people make Zu or Za, a brew that shows their deep, patient understanding of nature's quiet work. Local rice, or millet, is cooked and mixed with chawn, a yeast cake made from forest herbs. As fermentation happens in earthen pots, beautiful layers form naturally. The prized creamy surface scum, called zupui, is carefully collected and reserved only for village chiefs, honored guests, or important rituals. This clever tradition reflects years of handed-down knowledge about how microbes work, how aromas develop, and how strength builds in the brew across the hills, valleys. Across the hills, valleys, and forests of Northeast India, these homebrews are far more than drinks. They are living bridges between the forest, the family, and the spirit world. Every starter cake, every earthen pot, and every shared gourd carries the wisdom of grandmothers and the soul of the land.